The average price for a home in the Greater Toronto Area hit a new sales record. Hello everyone, this is Ali Mosadek, broker with RE/MAX, here to give you the latest market update for the month of March 2021. In this video, I'm going to be going over the monthly stats as well as the entire quarter and some updates from OFC. Let's start off with the monthly stats for March of 2021, wherein the average sale price hit an all-time new record of $1.1 million. That represents a 22% increase over March of last year. The number of sales also hit an all-time new record of over 15,000 new transactions, and that represents a 97% increase over March of 2020. The days on market also dropped by about 23%, and it takes on average about 10 days to sell a property across TRREB. In a 905, the average prices for properties, whether it's freehold, detached, or condo apartment, increased by double digits. And in the 416, it's a similar story with the exception of condos, where there's virtually no change at all. Now, I have included all of the March stats down below in the newsletter, or if you're watching this on Instagram, take a look at my previous post. Now, of course, March 2020 is widely remembered in North America as the beginning of the COVID era. Now, with this in mind, it is interesting to compare the annual sales growth of the pre-COVID era, which is March 1st to the 14th, and the COVID era of March 15th to the 31st. During the first 14 days of March 2021, there was over 6,500 sales. That represents a 41% increase compared to the pre-COVID era of 2020. From March 15th to the 31st, there was over 9,100 transactions that took place. That's up 174% over that COVID period of March 2020. So that really does illustrate how much of an initial impact COVID had on the real estate market and the overall economy. Single detached homes led the way with an annual increase of 103%. Of the 7,500 properties that did sell, approximately 6,100 of them, or 79%, took place in the 905 regions. So ground level housing outside of the city and into the 905s continues to be the trend. Sales of semi-detached properties went up by 98%, townhomes went up by 90% year over year. Over 3,800 condos also sold, which represents an increase of roughly 90% year over year. For the month of March, the average days on market, as I mentioned, was 10 days, which is about 23% less than March of last year and down by 50% over March of 2019. Now, the days on market heavily relies on the property type as well as location. It's not the same in all areas. For example, single detached properties on average took 9 days to sell across TRREB. However, in Newmarket, a single detached property sold in only 7 days. Semi-detached and townhomes take on average 7 days to sell, whereas a condo apartment takes approximately 14 days, therefore increasing the average days on market. However, despite that, condos are still selling at a relatively fast pace. So obviously, these sellers' market conditions are putting upward pressure on prices, as we have hit an all-time new record of $1.1 million for the average price of a property in the GTA. Now, as I said, if you're interested in the specific details for each property type and the average sales, take a look down below or check out my previous post on Instagram. Now, when we compare average sales prices and the number of transactions year over year, there's obviously a sharp contrast. We've noticed a significant jump in both prices and the number of transactions. However, to have an idea as to how the market is trending going forward, we're going to take a look at the month of March compared to February as well as to January. Now, when I've taken a look and I've compared February and January, I have noticed that the average prices for the 905 regions haven't changed substantially. There's been a marginal increase month over month, which tells me that the prices have essentially stabilized and there continues to be a marginal increase in prices, as I've advised many of my clients who I've been speaking with over the past couple of months. In the 416, however, it seems that the prices are jumping slightly more month over month. So that tells me that the 416 market is still very strong and people are still willing to pay a premium to stay within the city core. However, all of this is not to say that the 905 is slowing down. That's not at all the case. In many regions of the 905, the major cities, prices are actually going up. And what I've actually decided to do is include the following charts: detached properties as well as townhome properties, and I've included the average prices from January up until March for all of the major cities, or the most popular cities I should say, in the surrounding suburbs. So as you can tell, for both detached and townhomes, the average prices in places like York Region and Halton and Peel are going up month over month by a relatively healthy amount. And the difference that you see there, the percentage difference, is comparing January to March. Now, when you compare that to Toronto, however, the average prices are increasing by double digits. So despite the mass migration to the 905s, people are still willing, as I mentioned earlier, to pay a premium to stay in Toronto. So as you can tell, if you were to live in a townhome in cities like Richmond Hill, Vaughan, Markham, or Oakville, you could easily transition into a single detached property, which would offer you more space, a larger backyard in cities like Pickering or Oshawa or Whitby, Innisfil, and Bradford. So you can take on larger space without taking on a larger mortgage. Now, if I happen to miss your city, or you live in a semi-detached property or a condo and you want that information to see what the difference in an upsize or downsize would be for you, I'd be happy to share that information. Just feel free to reach out to me. A quick word on the mortgage market. OFSI, which is the national banking regulator, is proposing to increase the stress test for uninsured mortgages. An uninsured mortgage is a conventional mortgage, which means you're purchasing with more than 20% down. Now, essentially what this means is that your qualifying rate is going up to about 5.2% from the current 4.75. So what they're proposing is to increase the qualifying rate from 4.75 to 5.25, which means you will qualify for a smaller or less of a mortgage. So if you are in the market to find your dream home, I recommend you take advantage of the lower stress test right now, which allows you to have a larger budget as opposed to after June 1st, in which your budget may shrink and you may have to settle for something that is not ideal or your dream home. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer your questions or contact your mortgage broker. And if you don't have one but are looking to get pre-approved to get the ball rolling, I can put you in contact with mine. As always, guys, I'm happy to address any of your questions or concerns. If you're interested in knowing what's happening in your local area, knowing what the prices are, the number of transactions, and what's selling and what's not, in order to help put together a strategic plan for you to take advantage and find your dream home, I'd be happy to help you. Just reach out to me through Instagram. You can call me, text me, or send me an email. Until next time, take care.